Joel Sherman for Three Things, still in Tampa. Hopefully, I could bring a little warmth to some folks right now. I know things are cold back in the Northeast, so I won't even tell you I've got a couple of layers on here. It's cold in Florida as well, but better than where most of my friends are. Everyone stay safe. This was an interesting weekend for Yankee starting pitching, so why don't I have three thoughts on that, starting with the guy who's probably most interesting right now, though he isn't going to pitch probably for at least the first 40-ish games of the season at best, and that's Gerrit Cole, who on Friday he threw live batting practice for the first time since he had Tommy John surgery on March 11th. We're getting closer and closer to the one-year date of that. He was 94 to 97 pretty consistently. It was much harder than anyone anticipated, probably including himself. He said he wanted performance that day. That was not a pure rehab day for him. He was facing Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, and Aaron Judge, and he wanted to pitch to them. He threw 20 pitches. It was all fastballs. He's not up to breaking balls yet. And it was a positive day with a long, long way to go. And why don't we discuss the long way to go and the long way behind him? I talked to Cole on Saturday morning. It was just me and him. And I've got to tell you, anybody who's watched the Yankees and his career knows this is a guy who loves everything about the art of pitching. And he talked with incredible, I thought, passion and sincerity about how much he missed the game last year and what that means to him right now along the way. And he used the word horizon. I can now see the horizon of coming back. And yet he's still saying, I will not rush. The science is the science, and 14 to 18 months is the schedule. 14 months is May 11th. 18 months is September 11th. You're all baseball fans. You know what the difference between those two numbers means. It means playing about 3/4 of the season or about 1/4 of the season, less than that even, when he comes back, or someplace in between there. Everything looks great today, but these things take time. They're hoping he's going to pitch in a Grapefruit League game before this is all said and done, which would then put him in place to maybe go to a minor league team at some point in April and begin to arc towards getting back in May. I continue to say May 24th. Keep an eye on that date. If the Yankees needed the roster spot, he could be put on the 60-day IL. That opens a 40-man roster spot, and the first day of eligibility off the 60-day IL is May 24th. So I would think, if I were just guessing, that would probably be the earliest he returns. But so far, so good for Gerrit Cole. And you know what that means. It was interesting. I said to Max Fried, who was the other pitcher that day, he pitched an inning, Cole pitched an inning, Fried pitched an inning. And Fried stood on the top step and watched Cole. And I said, what would it mean to have Gerrit Cole back? And he kind of chuckled and he just said, my whole answer is he's Gerrit Cole. So, there are questions how guys come back from Tommy John. There's usually some command issues. But if he could come back and pitch a lot of the season and be a lot of Gerrit Cole, 80, 90% of Gerrit Cole, it's a huge boost for this Yankee rotation as far as quality and quantity of depth and talent. Number two, why don't we talk about Luis Gil, who pitched yesterday on Sunday, 2 2/3 innings against the Mets. The Mets brought over the top three hitters in their lineup, are guys who will make their team, but pretty much it was not, their A lineup coming across the state. 2 2/3 innings. He gave up a home run to Jared Young. If you want to be hopeful about Luis Gil, and we'll talk about what hopeful means in a second, but Luis Gil. Last year, there were two problems as he came back from a lat injury that cost him the first 4-ish months of the season, which was he never was consistent with his fastball as he was the year before, and he never really got control of his command. Yesterday, he threw 3/4 of his pitches for strikes. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 4. Again, not a big-time Met lineup, third week of February, keeping it in line. His average fastball was like 94.6 or 7 in that range, which is 2 miles an hour short of where he was at the beginning of the 2024 season. Both he and the Yankees feel like he's on a progression towards then. Again, third week of February. The Yankees thought he had a great offseason where he was really locked in, and then we're actually a little worried. His first bullpen here was not very good from what I understood. It was like 91, 92, and it wasn't there. But they feel like this fastball has been ticking up for him. And again, you know what this means. Gerrit Cole's first brush with what would ultimately be a need for Tommy John surgery was he had an elbow injury and missed the first 2.5 months of the 2024 season. Luis Gil made the rotation because of that, and then for 2.5 months pitched like Gerrit Cole. If there was a 2.5-month Cy Young, he would have been in the conversation for it, and Cole had won the AL Cy Young the year before. That's what pushed him towards winning the AL Rookie of the Year in 2024. Do the Yankees get that guy back? Because if they do, again, we're starting to talk not just about some level of quantity, which is valuable in the long season, but quality at the highest end, which leads to number 3. The Yankees do have a shot, and it is a shot. It's no sure thing, of having a very high-end rotation. But things do have to fall in line. Carlos Rodon has not yet, from his, he had the least, there's 3 elbow surgeries the Yankees are concerned with. He had the least serious of them. Both Cole and Clark Schmidt had Tommy John surgery. Rodon had a cleanup. Give Rodon credit. He kept it quiet, but his teammates told me over the offseason, and it was verified here in spring training, that he couldn't straighten out his arm at the end of last year, and he pitched, into that Toronto series that the Yankees lost. And I always feel like it's why I think Cole is so important and Fried is so important. I think the less you ask of Rodon to be a top of the rotation guy, the more it liberates him. So if it's Fried and Cole, and then like some combination of Hill, Weathers, and Rodon, and let's talk about those guys in a bit, but like that could be very high-end stuff across the board, asking less of Rodon. They're hoping they get Rodon back late April, early May. Right now they have 7 kind of veteran guys, if you consider guys like Schlittler and Warren veterans, pushing for rotation spots. I talked to Matt Blake on Sunday. He indicated with full health, and there's a long way from here to there, that Ryan Yarborough and Paul Blackburn, who are being built up into be starters, would be folded into the bullpen as kind of, especially early in the season, long men who would help bridge some shorter starts in April, and then they'd kind of figure it out on the run as Rodon and Cole come back. Now, is Cam Schlittler going to repeat last year for a full season? That was quite a cameo for a third of the season and in the postseason. He was kind of everything you'd want to be in a young starter. He kind of, to some degree, was what Hill was that first half of 2024. Can he do it for a full season? Will Warren is coming back. He was incredibly valuable in durability last year by making starts when there was kind of like not a next guy to go to for a lot of the years. He made 33 starts. Can he figure out, he didn't pitch well against the best teams. He still hasn't figured out completely how to deal with lefties, and he hasn't completely figured out how to keep a runners-on situation from blowing up into a 3, 4, 5-run inning instead of a 1 or 2-run inning, and you keep your team in a game. So there's a graduation there that has to come. And Ryan Weathers is an interesting, piece to sculpt. There were a lot of teams after him because of the high-end talent. Can that be? Can the Yankees get that and keep him healthy? That would give them some interesting stuff as it goes along. If and when they get Rodon and Cole back, they'll have a lot of good choices. Somebody will probably have to go to the minor leagues. Somebody or two will probably have to go to the minor leagues or the bullpen, who's a pretty good starting pitcher. Now, you don't usually get full health. You're lucky if you kind of keep 5 you really like going over and over again. We'll see that. And then the one last thing I will add is Carlos Rodon and Elmer Rodriguez are close to the majors. The Yankees have done well with starting pitchers the last few years. Hill, Warren, and Schlittler, getting them to the majors in good order. Those two are sitting there, and Matt Blake thought this was the best combination of quality and quantity he's had in his 7 years with the Yankees as far as rotation guys are concerned. That is always you do this if you're a Yankee fan or you're employed by the Yankees, because you think you have a lot, and then you have an injury or 3 or 4, and then your depth goes away. But sitting here 3 weeks into February, not even March, the Yankees feel like they could potentially build a really, really strong, deep, with reserve starting rotation. Will they get there? Will be a big story this season.